welcome to the CommuniCast. This is Psychic Taco 115, and I'm here with Fappy. Say hi, Fappy. You can say hi, Fappy.
I said hello, but apparently I didn't hit my fucking mic button.
It's a learning experience.
Well, I've only done this like a million times, so I should probably know what I'm doing by now. I'm using this freaking crappy laptop because I'm not at home right now. I blame Butcher for this.
It's not my fault. I didn't do anything.
You roped me into this without my consent.
Yeah, as you can tell, Caliban Butcher is also with us, so say hi.
Yeah, that was a good segue.
Hi.
I love segues, don't you?
All the way. Segways are like probably the most lazy form of transportation possible.
The Segway founder managed to Segway himself off a cliff. It's very impressive when you think about it.
Did he really? What kind of cliff?
A steep cliff, the one you fall down and die. I don't know how he managed to do that on a Segway, but he probably was leaning forward quite a lot.
That's just an urban legend.
I mean, like, what was at the bottom of the cliff? Was it water or like a spike pit or what?
I'm not certain what was the bottom of the cliff, but I know that at the bottom of the cliff he was probably flat or flattened.
Oh, that's not good.
Baby scorpions.
He fell on scorpions?
There was a pit of baby scorpions that he fell on.
That's not good.
But wouldn't it also kill the baby scorpions? I mean, they didn't do anything.
The need of the few outweigh the need of the many. Wait, no, reverse that. Reverse that and you'll be fine. That's how scorpions think.
Well, I think the moral of the story is segways are just evil, and they kill baby scorpions.
And their creator, of course.
Well, yeah, but he deserved it because he made the Segway in the first place. Taco, what is this whole podcast about today?
Yes, we are going to talk about movies, and for some reason the one guy who's good about movies wasn't here because of his mic, so calling you out, Martyr.
Yeah, loser.
Yeah, totally.
What a chump. Anyway, so I guess we should just start off with saying, what's our favorite movie, or what movies do we like? So, Fappy, how about you go first?
Oh, me? Really? Okay, well, my favorite movie of all time is probably Heat, which is, for most people don't know what it is, because it's one of those movies that's kind of just fallen to the wayside over the years, but it's a 90s crime thriller drama starring a lot of people, but among probably the most famous people in the movie, and the two main characters are Robert De Niro and Al Pacino, and they have this famous scene called the coffee shop scene together that is probably one of my favorite dialogue bits in any movie I've ever seen. I definitely like it better than most of, if not all of, what's his name's dialogue scenes that he's famous for, and I can't remember his name for some reason. Quentin Tarantino.
Quentin Tarantino?
Yeah, there we go.
The Terranster.
Other than that, I mean, I have a lot of my favorite movies are kind of, basic nerd movies that a proper geek would like, like Episode 5. Thought The Avengers was a great movie. Let's throw that up there somewhere.
It was a great movie. I mean, it was more fun than I ever had in the cinema before, I think. Except for the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Well, I'm not the person to talk to about Rocky Horror Picture Show, considering the fact that I had way too many friends in college who were obsessed with it, and the overexposure to Rocky Horror put me off to it forever, I think.
It scares me. It's like, I don't know, just every time I see him, like, it looks like I'm like, nope, remember that scene that you haven't seen, but you've heard of.
Well, I mean, I can understand why it's fun, but some people are just too zealous about it, and it kind of annoyed me. So now I don't really like it anymore.
Just like The Princess
Can't
Bride.
believe that.
Yeah, The Princess Bride is it's not as bad about it, though. But I can see where you're going with that.
Okay, so those are yours. Caliban, what about you? What are some of your favorite movies?
Well, I'm gonna delve a bit into the obscure now, because my favorite movie of all time is probably Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans, by the German director and filmmaker Werner Herzog. It actually came out very recently, in 2009, and I do believe that Movie Bob even reviewed it. I'm not certain, though. Anyway, it stars Nicolas Cage, I mean, everyone knows that guy, and Eva Mendes in probably her best role ever. And it's also a crime movie. I mean, title could give it away, I believe.
Wait a
And it's
minute, is that
about
the
a cop,
movie? What character does Nicolas Cage play in that movie?
a drug addict cop who goes in a downward spiral of self-destruction.
Does he have a gravelly voice?
Yes, he does. He
D-
does.
Is is this the movie where he like has a mustache and sunglasses?
No, he does not. It's the movie with the shoot him again, his soul's still dancing routine.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking of the movie where he's like he gets pissed off at some point and walks through a bar screaming "fuck," and it's a really funny scene. I don't know what the hell movie that is either, but I know it's Nick Cage.
I want to say it's The Art of War, but I'm not sure.
It's cagey to say the least. But Bad Lieutenant stars also Exhibit, of all people, as the antagonist, so that might give it away for you.
I don't think I've
I
seen
don't
it.
know.
Well, you should. It's a great movie, and I do recommend it to everyone out there. As for my other favorite movies, I do believe my number 2 spot is a bit more popular with the nerd culture. It's the movie Super by James Gunn. You heard of it?
Yeah, I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
Never heard of it.
When did it come out? It came out like in the last 2 years or so, didn't it?
I'm actually not sure. I could look it up, but I don't know. I think last 2 or 3 years. It's a very different take on the superhero genre. People say that it's a ripoff of Kick-Ass, but I don't believe it. It's way too violent for that. And kind of a dickish movie because it seems to hate its audience with a passion.
Well, that's always good. It's kind of like the Star Wars prequels.
No, I'm sorry. Super is a good movie. It does try to hurt its audience, but it does so intentionally. The Star Wars prequels just plain suck. I mean, I've seen episode 1 twice. One when I was a little kid, and when I was a little kid I kind of could stand it, but I've seen it again last year. And every time Anakin opened his mouth, I just wanted to slap the little shit across the room.
Yep. Yeah, it's kind of funny, actually.
Yeah, the thing about
What was that?
the thing about Super was it did that tongue firmly in cheek. The Star Wars prequels were kind of like they didn't know they were being bad. They thought they were actually good, which was even more sad if you think about it.
I don't think that George Lucas thought they would be good, but he thought it would make him more money than he could ever snort cocaine.
Well, apparently, I looked this up a couple months ago. What happened to the kid who played Anakin? Apparently now I think he's probably in late high school, but apparently he distanced himself from Star Wars completely because he thinks it's like something. He said like it was creepy or something. Like I guess his connection to it or something, and he was bullied because he was Anakin in school, which is kind of weird because my friend just got back from a Star Wars convention this weekend where he said, and there's a picture and video, so he wasn't lying to me. He was partying with the kid who played Boba Fett in Episode 2. He was no longer a kid, obviously. He's probably in like his mid-20s or something. But the guy was apparently like drunk, just yelling, "I'm Boba Fett! I'm Boba Fett!" over and over again. So I guess some child stars deal with their, former glory differently than others.
Well, there's a secret to it, Boba Fett was a cool character, and he became a very cool character later on. Anakin was a whiny little kid who called people angel, which is a sin in and of itself, and then became whiny Anakin Skywalker, and then became wimpy Darth Vader in the prequels.
The only
So
thing I
there's
can
no
think
redeeming
of,
quality.
like the only thing I can think of now when I see that movie is like at the end of episode 3 when Anakin's like have his legs cut off, dying in the lava. All I can think of is Smooth Criminal. Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie?
Oh God. Well, the only thing that I can think of when I see episode 3 or see anything about it is, if you were to actually inject logic into any of the characters' motivations or conversations or thought processes, I think you would definitely need to put it in the scene where Yoda and Obi-Wan are talking about what they should do, and you should make Yoda say this instead. "Let us both go together and kill Palpatine." Oh, I think that probably would have solved the problem.
Why? The problem was solved. I mean, they sent Mace Windu to deal with Palpatine. As we've seen, Mace Windu did beat the living shit out of the guy and defeated him until Anakin came along and, kind of became a traitor.
And you see, See, that wouldn't have happened again because Anakin was halfway across the galaxy when they would have attacked. So they couldn't come and save him. Basically, Yoda and Obi-Wan would just march in there and imagine the fight how it was, except Obi-Wan is there also. I'm pretty sure it would have turned out differently.
They just like go in there with the lightsabers drawn out like Pulp Fiction style and just, I don't know, behead them.
Yeah.
You know, if we want to do this Pulp Fiction style, I want to hear Samuel L. Jackson's monologue done by anyone, really.
You know, Samuel L. Jackson, I like him as an actor, but I mean, just like everybody else in that movie, he was terrible.
Yeah, but it might be because the movie wasn't all that good. I mean, it was the best of the prequels, but it really wasn't a good movie.
It's just the acting in all three of them was really bad. I mean, the acting wasn't remarkable in the original trilogy either, but it was really bad.
As I said, the prequel trilogy had the little Anakin thing. I refuse to call him human or anything because I just hate that thing so much. The only thing worse than Anakin in the movie was Jar Jar Binks, and that's arguable because Jar Jar Binks I know is CGI, so it's not a real person I can hate.
He's a cartoon
What about
rabbit.
the actor?
Yeah, I don't know who actually played
Excuse me?
him. He's saying, what about the actor?
Ah, the actor, you mean the actor that played Anakin Skywalker, the little kid.
What about hating like the guy who played Jar Jar Binks? Because he had to have a voice. There's no way Microsoft Sam could pull off all those misas.
I refuse to believe he's still alive. I do believe the studio, buried him alive for his sins against humanity.
That's a distinct possibility.
Hey man, they buried Atari ET cartridges in the desert. I'm pretty sure companies are powerful enough to do that.
Yeah, but we kind of ventured off topic here, ripping on bad movies when we want to talk about good movies. So, Taco, it's your turn to
That's
tell us
true.
what kind of movies you like.
This is always the hard part because I'm younger, so it's not like I've seen as many movies or remember the good old days of the 80s or 90s, but I would have to say like one of my favorite movies would have to be The Godfather. Still trying to get through part 2, but I don't know, it's just something like about the classic tale of revenge and just sends tingles up my spine, you know.
Yeah, I've only seen part 1 once, but I remember liking it a whole lot.
The Godfather is an awesome movie. I mean, it's just a great piece of cinema.
I mean, I just remember the scene where it's like, I'll make you an offer you can't refuse. It's just like, whoa man, this guy's serious. He will make you an offer you can't refuse.
And I do believe the saying is public knowledge by now. I mean, if you are serious about something or ironically serious about something, you go to someone and say, I've got an offer you cannot refuse. And if you're truly serious, you will then put a horse's head in his bedroom.
It's true. I just think everybody needs to see that movie so they can get all the pop culture references and everything that references it. I mean, it's got to be one of the most referenced movies in the history of movies.
I think the only thing that beats Godfather when it comes to references is actually Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars and Indiana Jones are probably pretty close.
And both of them feature Harrison Ford. Coincidence?
Yep. Steven Spielberg is at least loosely attached to both.
I refuse to believe that this is a coincidence. I do believe we have found a worldwide conspiracy.
The Illuminati.
I mean, Indiana Jones
Yep.
used to be a trilogy, and then they kind of, Then Shia LaBeouf happened.
Indiana Jones 4 never happened.
Indiana Jones decided he didn't like killing people anymore, and then the movie sucked.
No, the fourth movie never happened. I refuse to believe that that is Indiana Jones.
Where did you get the Men in Black memory eraser things? Because I'd like to see a hit of that.
Those things were pretty awesome. Was the third movie good?
I can't remember where I got mine.
I never ended up seeing the third movie. The second one was terrible.
It was better than the second one. It was actually a lot of fun to see, the young... It wasn't Tommy Lee Jones, but I don't know who was it, Javier Bardem or something, run around with Will Smith. It was fun to watch him.
Just thought how it took place in the 60s. Like, you have all this stuff you can do. It's like the 60s, why are we going back there? I mean, yeah, drugs and stuff, but besides that, not much.
They made some very funny moments possible with Andy Warhol.
Oh God. It was actually.
I don't even know who that is.
I actually don't watch the show very much, but my friend and my sister both watch it all the time. What is it called? Fuck. Mad Men. If you guys have ever seen it, it is a pretty damn depressing show. But because it takes place in the 60s, it has some pretty cool stuff that can happen in it. And one of the things that was really funny is there was a scene where one of the characters had gone to like hang out with a bunch of like I won't call them hippies because they weren't necessarily hippies, but they were just general 60s stoners, and one of the guys was an artist. She was like, hey, so you want to work for this, we can contract you for the company. And he was like, I'm not going to sell my soul. Andy Warhol changed everything for art. And I was like, wow, hipsters have existed since the beginning of time, apparently.
Hippie, hipster, it's evolution.
Oh my God, I know. Exactly.
Darwin was right.
But I must admit, I've never seen Mad Men. It's a blunder, I admit, but it never came around. I just know it features Christina Hendricks, Lucky Strike, and that other chick from Community.
It features also a guy my dad actually went to college with, so that's kind of cool. Whenever I see him in something, I'm like, hey, that's that guy.
Yeah, that guy.
That guy.
But let's try to get back on topic.
Yeah, I was about to say.
And with that guy, how about Owen Wilson? I mean, Owen Wilson is the stereotypical that guy. Everyone knows an Owen Wilson. I mean, he's blonde, he's always smiling, and he's secretly very depressed.
Oh, why is he? Oh, yeah,
and he
that's
made
true.
a very awesome movie.
Didn't he try to kill himself or something?
Several times now, yeah.
Jeez.
Wait, what? I didn't know this.
Owen Wilson is clinically depressed and tried to kill himself several times.
Well, now you're making me depressed.
Sorry about that. Want to kill yourself?
You want to see or hear something totally like mind-blowingly crazy? So just picture, Owen Wilson and Ben Stiller in movies together all the time.
Yeah.
So think of Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson in any movie where they're kind of like playing antithesis characters of each other that are kind of like friendly rivals or whatever the hell you want to call it. And now imagine them as beavers.
Oh, wait, I see what you did. Wait, was that a thing actually, or was that the
Dude, it was just
thing?
It was just a connection I made in my head. They are the angry beavers. Like if you think about it, like Daggett, I think his name is Ben Stiller, and the other one who I can't remember his name is Owen Wilson.
Fitting, I must say.
My brain is just everywhere in this room right now.
If they made an Angry Beavers movie, you know who would star in those roles.
Shia LaBeouf and, I don't know, some other new actor because he makes money.
I would kill
Kevin
the casting
James?
director who made that decision.
But back to Owen Wilson. I mean, there's a really awesome movie with Owen Wilson from Woody Allen. It's called Midnight in Paris. Have you guys seen it?
I have not.
I've heard of it.
Is it a serious movie?
It's a romantic movie, but it strikes some serious tones. Yes, it's about Owen Wilson being engaged to, I have no idea what her name is. I can't remember actors. And they go on a vacation in Paris with another couple, and the other guy of the other couple is clearly very attractive. I mean, he knows a lot, he's very pretentious, and the fiancée of Owen Wilson seems to want to start an affair with the guy. So Owen Wilson is distraught and leaves the apartment or hotel room and wanders around in Paris and gets picked up by an old-timey car, which transports him back to the Paris of Picasso and Hemingway and whatnot. And Gertrude Stein is also there, so he gets to experience the past, and it kind of, goes so far that he wants to live in the time of Picasso and everyone else because he falls in love with a girl there. And finally he seems to be happy, and he grows more and more distant of his fiancée and their family, and seems to be more and more attracted to the life back then.
That's depressing.
You wouldn't want to do that. Trust me, like European history, it's not that romantic.
Kind of reminds me of just this random off-topic thing that's sort of related. Did you know that Dr. Doom had a very long love affair with Morgan Le Fay of Camelot? He'd go back in time so that they can go on dates.
I did not know that, no.
Yeah, that was a
Comics
thing.
are great.
I know, right?
I must admit I'm not very well read when it comes to comics.
Well, maybe at some point we'll do a comics podcast, but on the other hand, that might last way too long.
We'll get into discussions who could beat who up. It'll be a bloodbath.
It'll be pretty bad.
And the answer is always Batman.
So what's the next topic? We talked about just our favorite movies, I guess, in general.
Yeah, I think we were going to do what makes a good movie.
Hmm. Anything can make a good movie.
If, I think the first thing you need is a great script for a good movie. I mean, you can have a great script and terrible actors, and it could still turn out to be a decent movie.
Yeah.
I've been thinking that's good. That's important to have. But I always thought if you make the main character or just the characters likable and sympathetic and all that stuff, then I can forgive a lot. Like if I like being around the characters, I can dig it.
Yeah, see, the thing is, like, you can't expect every part of a movie to go completely smoothly. Like, either the script's gonna suck, or the actors are gonna suck, or the director's gonna suck. Something's not gonna be perfect. The stars never align perfectly for a movie production because there's just so many people involved. But on the other hand, like, even if there's a lot of stuff totally fucked up, there could be some weird quirk or something magical about the movie that just salvages everything. Like going back to Star Wars, for example, there's a big argument out there that people make that Episode 4 would have actually sucked total ass if it hadn't been saved in editing. Like apparently, like post-production completely saved that movie from being garbage.
See, and it's all the small things that make a great movie. Or you could just be Stanley Kubrick and, force everything into being a great movie. And if you need to, you will terrorize your actors and everyone else on set.
That's true. But I think Taco's right, though. Characters, I think for any story, characters is usually something that you need to start with, and it needs to be good. Otherwise, who the hell's going to care? I mean, you can have a fun, stupid movie, and that's fine. You can have a funny movie, an action-packed movie with just, cardboard cutouts running around. But if you want a really, truly good movie, you need to be able to actually connect with the people on the screen.
I wouldn't say that you need to, sympathize with the characters on the screen. For example, I've seen The Master yesterday, and I gotta say, none of the characters were really sympathetic. I mean, the Master himself is a manipulative bastard, and the other guy is a self-destructive marine who goes around masturbating in public and drinking his brains away. But it was still a great movie because the characters were well fleshed out and believable.
Yeah, you don't need to be able to sympathize with them necessarily. You just need to be able to understand. They need to have some kind of depth, and you need to be made to understand that depth.
Wasn't that movie just said about the invisible children's guy?
That's Invisible Children's guy, the Coney guy? No, I believe the Master,
Yeah,
though no one would ever admit it, it's about Scientology.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but no one will say that because it would mean 10 years of war and lawsuits and riots in the streets. Tom Cruise destroying sofas.
I don't know.
I was just saying, sorry, because, well, you fapped in public. That's the only thing I got.
That's true.
Yeah, it was a Marine.
Well, yeah, that's pretty bad. You don't want to do that.
Generally speaking, it's not a good idea to go out in public and spank it.
I don't know. Some people are into that.
And there's a very good theme song if you are into that.
A theme song for beating off in public?
Yep, it's by the South Park guys. The episode about the Coney guy.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about now.
Theme song for beating off in public in, I don't know, San Diego?
Never heard of it.
I don't think I think I've seen like maybe half of that episode.
It's in the very end of the episode. It's, suddenly a choir starts, barbershop quartet stands in San Diego in public and, spanking it. And it's a very catchy song.
I can only imagine. The Scientology is kind of not really much of a factor anymore. It seems like a lot of the famous people who were, advocating it have stopped. Probably because the money ran out. Who knows?
I don't know. I just know that it's still a dating service for Tom Cruise.
Ah, well. Tom Cruise is crazy anyway.
I thought he wasn't a Scientologist anymore. I mean, he's still crazy, but I heard that he, doesn't practice anymore or something.
Last I heard, he was on number 2 of the organization, so I venture that he is still a Scientologist.
Number 2? Really?
Yep.
God,
he's a really high up guy.
Maybe I was thinking of John Travolta. One of them quit.
John Travolta quit.
Okay, maybe that's who it was.
And John Travolta was in a good movie last year, in Savages.
Oh, was that good? I didn't see it, but it looks stupid.
Well, I don't know if I haven't seen the trailers, but it was really good. Lots of very stylish violence, good characters. John Travolta was, funny.
I do like
It was nicely done.
style. And I do like John Travolta. For the most part.
Then I would recommend the movie.
John Travolta does have a bad habit of overacting really bad villains.
He isn't playing a really bad villain. He's playing, a beat-down cop who's taking bribes from drug dealers, so he'll leave them alone.
So he's a cyclo?
Not really. He's, more of a I don't care anymore guy.
I think John Travolta, my favorite John Travolta role is probably the main bad guy from Battlefield Earth.
Cyclos.
Oh, that movie's so bad.
It's terrible. Dutch angles everywhere.
It happens.
Yeah, but my favorite John Travolta roles are actually twofold. For one, he was in Face Off with Nicolas Cage, where he played Nicolas Cage, and Nicolas Cage played John Travolta, and vice versa. That was a great movie. And he was in With Love from Paris, where he was just, badass.
Yeah.
I think my favorite John Travolta role is probably his dumbass character in Pulp Fiction.
I'll take that. It's a great role.
Yeah, his character just seems like such a moron in that movie. It's hilarious. And I like how he's like he gets gunned down like after taking a shit. Like he gets out of the bathroom and then he's dead.
Yeah, but it's, a rule in this movie. Every time someone goes to the bathroom, something terrible happens.
Oh
Yeah, that's right.
Wait. That's horrible.
And first scene, the Jules and John Travolta's character come into the room. One guy goes to the toilet and, shoot out. People dying everywhere.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Then John Travolta goes to the toilet and Bruce Willis comes into the room and shoots him with an Uzi, which is, I do believe, Bruce Willis' standard modus operandi.
I like how the Uzi was just sitting on the counter.
Yep, wherever Bruce Willis goes, there is an Uzi for him. It doesn't matter if it's on a plane or on a ship, or doesn't matter. There is an Uzi.
Good thing he wasn't the star of Snakes on a Plane. Because then they would have destroyed the cabin pressure and everybody would have been fucked.
And no one would have said, I'm sick and tired of these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane.
That movie was actually really bad if you've seen it. That was the only good line in the whole movie.
Yes, the movie is truly bad, but this line is really awesome. And as long as we're on bad movies and Bruce Willis, I can't recommend Die Hard 5. It's just not a good movie. Maybe
really?
it's fun action rom for people who are really desperate, but it's not fun to watch.
Well, I was hopeful because they made it rated R again, but I guess that doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't. It's not fixed on one location. It's, all over Russia, and in the end they're in Chernobyl, and Bruce Willis isn't alone, but he's with his son this time around, and they have to fight Russian bad guys, and it's just a mess.
I like how, his name is John and his son's name is Jack. Seriously, the two most Anglo-Saxon names you can think of.
Yeah. I like how, for some reason, action movie sequels are always, especially bad compared to other genres. The other night, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, they were playing Predator 1 and 2 back-to-back, and I'd seen the first one a million times, and that's a good movie. And I watched the first, 15 minutes of 2, and the first scene, I was like, I already knew it was a bad movie, but just after watching halfway through, the first scene, I was like, this is going to be a terrible movie.
And you were right. But it's even worse than that? Watching Alien 1, Aliens, and then going to 3 and 4. That's just a shit.
Yeah.
It's just a train wreck.
Yeah, I have only seen parts of 3, and I never watched 4.
Seen both of them in their entirety, and I just don't. It's really just a waste.
Doesn't Ripley come back to life or something like that in 4? Or something stupid.
She's
Yeah, the
cloned.
ending.
She what?
The ending of 3 is the ultimate sacrifice. Ripley is falling down to molten steel with an alien coming out of her, and she burns to death, horribly, I might imagine. And then Aliens 4, Ripley wakes up. Oh, we've cloned you with an alien queen inside of you. Sorry about that, and you kind of have alien traits now. But be cool about it.
Yeah.
Deus Ex Machina for the win!
So dumb.
Yeah, it's really dumb.
No, you know what's even worse? In the 80s or 90s, all the Friday the 13th sequels, all the Nightmare on Elm Street sequels, all the Halloween sequels. It's my God. Seriously.
Yeah, well, I mean, That stuff is supposed to be stupid.
Yes, and with
So
delivers what it promises, which
yeah, it's kind of like the Final Destination sequels. It's just more of the same over and over again because people want to see it for whatever reason.
just like this, torture porn we had a few years back with Saw and Hostel and
Oh my
the
god, that.
infamous Human Centipede.
All right, Saw 1 was okay. It was okay. All of its sequels were way worse than okay. They were dog shit.
I refuse to call Saw 1 okay, it was just boring.
It was pretty boring. It had some cool moments in it, let's put it that way. And the sequels were completely different movies. It was almost like it wasn't even the same genre anymore.
True, but we should try to get back on topic with, good movies, because otherwise we're doing another bad movie cast again.
Yeah, that's true. It's so much easier to talk
Okay,
about bad movies.
Oh yeah,
It is, because we can rip them a new one.
exactly. How about for good movies? What's a movie you've actually seen and you like, but kind of controversial or not many people have heard of?
For one, Bad Lieutenant Port of Call New Orleans.
How about one you haven't mentioned yet?
A movie that I like that not many people have seen. Does it have to be a good movie? I mean,
It could, bad or good, just movies you liked.
That like
Pool
maybe
Boy, Drowning Out
people
the Fury.
these days don't remember.
Yeah, okay, that works.
Okay, I have one. Pool Boy, Drowning Out the Fury. I know next to no one who's heard of the movie, but I do love it.
What kind of movie is it?
I don't think it's a B movie. It doesn't qualify for that. It's a movie that parodises the whole bad action movie genre by doing everything
You cut
wrong.
out there for a second.
Oh, okay, sorry. It's a movie that parodises the action film genre of the late 90s, and it basically explosions, huge explosions in stock footage. You see that movie has practically no budget. The actors are hammy and terrible, but I do believe on purpose.
That does sound pretty fun, actually.
It is great fun to watch. I've seen the movie on New Year's Eve 2 years ago, and everyone was having a blast.
I mean, it sounds kind of like one of those movies like The Room or something, where it's just so bad that it's fun.
Yeah, but The Room is just so bad because it's so bad. Because they try to make something good and just ended up this huge pile of.
But it's so
I don't know
funny
what
because it's
that
so
is.
bad. Like, there's so many great scenes from that terrible-ass movie.
That's
wanna
bullshit.
do
I
the
did not
quote?
hit her. Oh, hi, Mark.
No, the quote, the one.
You're tearing me
You're
apart!
tearing me apart, Lisa!
I'd have to say that one of my favorite movies of all time, that just because I watched it so much as a kid because my dad and my sister loved it, that I'm sure, I mean, it's not necessarily, an unknown movie, but a lot of people these days have never seen it. I know a lot of people who haven't seen it, or some who haven't heard of it at all, but Pee-wee's Big Adventure. If you've ever seen that movie, it is stupid as shit, but it has some great scenes in it.
Those sounds pretty Pee-wee-ish, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It is.
I mean, it just has a lot of. I'd say it actually does get referenced quite a bit, but it's just such a bizarre ass movie. Like I'd say that it's a. If you've seen Wayne's World, it's actually kind of similar to Wayne's World in the way it's set up. Not necessarily what happens, but the way the ideas of the movie are conveyed.
That's a fitting comparison, I must say.
Have you seen it?
I've seen it once a while ago, but so I don't really remember any details because I was very young, but I've seen it.
Yeah, the scene where Large Marge, who is this big 16-wheel driver, she basically is telling Pee-wee a horror story about how this woman driver had this terrible crash and died, and at the very end, it turns out Pee-wee finds out that she's like a ghost, like she was the dead driver she was talking about. But when she reveals it to him, she makes this hideous face Like, it's claymation, obviously, but she has like this horribly hideous face that comes out to like show him what her face looked like when she died, and it scared the fucking shit out of me as a kid. Like, I would hide every time that scene came up because I was so afraid of it.
Very understandable.
I've seen people use that as an avatar before. It brought back the nightmares. It was awful.
So it's a trigger for you.
It is.
We all have that in
But
movies.
but it is another thing I just remembered about, what makes a movie a good movie. It's a definition. It's said that to make a movie a truly great movie, you have to show everything in the movie. Don't, force with explanation or something. Just, show an action, and the next thing that happens should be a reaction to the action shown before.
Like that one time where Anakin and Obi-Wan are sitting in an elevator and they're like, "Hey, you remember when you saved me from that nest of Gundarks?" And the audience was like, "No, I don't remember that at all."
What's a gun
Exactly.
dark?
Yeah, just, do the opposite of that, show them being in Gundark and, fighting a bunch of dirty peasant droids, and then it
Nerf
works.
herders.
Nerf herders.
They actually...
Which brings me to my...
Go ahead.
Okay, this brings me to my third favorite movie, Seven Psychopaths. Have you heard of it? Came out last year.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
I actually wanted to see it.
It's just a truly great movie. Just embodies the spirit of actio and reactio and just this chain of, I can't even, consequences strung together by complete and utter madness. I think it was Roger Ebert who described the movie as I don't know, if Inception or if Fight Club is a movie within a movie, then Seven Psychopaths is a movie without a movie.
Huh.
That is art, right there.
It is art, but it's great entertainment.
Actually, I was going to bring up, it sort of reminds me of, like, great twists in movies. I kind of have a problem with twists in movies because I have this terrible habit of overanalyzing scenes and then guessing twists, like, before they happen, which I know is not what you're supposed to do. I just do it involuntarily. So, for example, one of my favorite movies of all time is probably this Korean film called Old Boys, which if you've never seen it, go see it immediately.
Is that a movie with a guy locked in a room and
Yeah.
then goes out and does terrible things?
Yeah, it's that one. And they're doing an American version, which is probably going to be bad, but we'll see. But, like, there's a twist in that movie that I got probably within the first... I got it after, without spoiling anything, when he leaves, like, when he finally gets released 15 years later in the beginning of the movie. Like, 3 scenes later, I figured out the twist that you don't find out until the end of the movie. And then, I actually watched The Usual Suspects recently for the first time, and I didn't know anything about the movie until I watched it, and I figured out what's his name was, like, right away. I just thought it was too obvious. I don't know why that was such a famous movie twist. I thought it was obvious anyway.
Might have been. It's been a while since I watched the movie. I don't know if it got that twist. But the problem I have with twist in things is that once you've seen the movie and seen the twist ending, you can't rewatch the movie because it's just not the same anymore. I mean, in Sixth Sense, if you know the Bruce Willis character is, spoilers, a ghost, well, the movie just isn't as fun anymore.
Well, here's the thing. You can make it work, and the way you do that is you make the twist. You need to find a sweet spot in the twist. There's 2 ways to do it. Where the 2 wrong ways to do it are, you have a twist that comes out of left field, and there's literally no way you can figure it out unless you just have some crazy wild guess because of severe lack of information leading up to the twist. And then the second way that you can do it wrong is if you have, too many hints, like it's just too obvious way too early. And the sweet spot is basically a movie where some people might get the twist, some people might not. There are some hints scattered throughout the movie, and for the people who don't get it, which are probably going to be the majority of people, they're going to be like, "Oh, of course," or something like that. And then when you watch the movie again, you can pay attention closely and see all the cool nuances that were in the movie that hint towards that twist. Like, the best example I can think of off the top of my head is Fight Club, where I'm going to spoil it right now because I'm assuming you guys have seen that famous movie. In Fight Club, you know, how Brad Pitt is, you know, just a figment of his imagination.
Edward Norton.
Yeah, he is Edward Norton. So when you actually go back and watch the movie a second time, you can see all the cool, weird stuff they did that kind of subtly hint at that fact.
That is very true. It's probably the best example for a great movie twist. And I'm not going to mention M. Night Shyamalan, what's his name,
No,
because,
don't.
well, he does it wrong.
Yeah, it definitely does it wrong. I mean, you don't need... You can have and when I say twists and turns in a movie, that's like, you know, oh man, like this character tricked this character, or this character betrayed this character and you didn't see it coming. Like, a movie can do fine with just that and not have these crazy plot twists where like the entire plot gets turned on its head. Like my favorite movie, Heat, for example, doesn't have one of those crazy plot twists, but it does have a lot of crazy character things that happen that you don't expect to happen. So as long as there's...
That's important as well. You need a great character.
Yeah, as long as you have some anxiety and suspense in the story, then you don't really need some giant earth-shattering revelation at some point.
Nope, you don't. And now to plug in my favorite movie again, you know, with the Bad Lieutenant. You do have a slight character twist at the ending, and you are kind of dumbfounded. You don't want to believe that this is the ending. That can't end like this.
Or is it like a unsatisfying ending?
The scenes I'm talking about are very unsatisfying in the context of the movie. So you refuse to believe that this movie, with everything they've shown you, ends like this.
Oh.
And I'm not going to tell you if it does or does not end like this.
Well, all I can say about the ending of Heat is that it's beautiful. And that's not giving anything away.
No, it's not.
It's got one of the best, like, ending gunfight sequence to credits I've ever seen. Like, it's just flawless, I think.
Yeah.
It's like the final kind of, like, gunfight is basically... It's basically the episode 5 lightsaber fight, but better. In terms of, like... it's more about, you know, the characters emotionally fighting each other than actually fighting each other. A mental battle.
But when we're on the subject of twist, you know, we had Tarantino mentioned before, and I gotta say my favorite Tarantino movie is probably Django Unchained, because I do like Christoph Waltz very much.
I haven't seen that one.
You should go and watch that movie. The Oscar was very much deserved for Waltz again. But I wasn't going to talk about Django because that movie is great, but I was going to mention Kill Bill. And the movie does have a certain twist to it as well in the end. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I'm trying to remember what the twist was, because I haven't seen 100% of both movies. I've seen like 70% of both movies. I have seen the ending of the second one, but I can't really remember what the twist is.
Taco, have you seen the ending, or do you know the twist?
Taco? I think Taco died.
Yep, that happens, as we mentioned before. Do you want me to tell you what I mean with the twist? Or...
Yeah, sure. I mean, if I watch the movie again, I'm not going to get surprised by the twist again, so go ahead.
Okay. In the beginning, the bride is pregnant, and she's in a coma, and we watch her be in a coma and get sold for cash, and she wakes up and the baby is gone. And spoiler alert, when she finally meets Bill, her daughter is still alive. Who would have guessed that? Right.
I forgot about that. I don't even remember, I barely remember the plot at all. I don't even remember why Bill betrayed her and all that stuff.
Bill betrayed her because he felt betrayed because she left him for, the humble, rustic life of a common person, instead of the awesome, adventurous, fight people, assassin style.
And then he died because he was a dick. And also because that's
no,
what
he
the
died
movie
because
was
of the... Yes, but he died because of the awesome five-step heart explosion punch. Yeah. 5-step heart explosion death punch.
I think it's funny that
But you watch the movie for...
He gets up and walks away pretty fast after that. I'd kind of sit there for a while and be like, well, I want to make sure that I have at least had a really good dinner and some ice cream and stuff before I take these 5 steps that are going to kill me.
You can take 5 steps. No one says anything about crawling or anything, so maybe you can get, cocaine, blackjack, and hookers.
What if
It
you
doesn't say anything about sex.
What if you removed your legs?
Exactly, have someone amputate your legs and take a wheelchair, you could still enjoy life for a while.
Or perhaps on the spot get open heart surgery without taking any steps.
Yeah, have the medics come in, carry you out, and directly to a heart surgeon. He's gonna be like, "Don't worry, we've got your heart transplant ready. It's all gonna be okay."
If he takes 5 steps, though, his heart will literally explode, so we must be careful. His heart may detonate in our face.
So, I don't know, but I don't think he'll walk anymore when he's, on the table for surgery and being prepared.
Yeah, I would hope not, anyway. But who knows? I don't even know how that punch really works. It could just blow up randomly if he doesn't take the steps.
Probably not, because it's called 5-step heart explosion punch, and the Kung Fu people are nothing if not very precise in their instructions.
That's true.
I mean, you don't get a move called the Tiger Death thing. No, it's the Tiger Death Claw of ripping your opponent's heart out and eating it for breakfast. You can only use it before breakfast.
Really? It's a prerequisite to
Yes,
using the
otherwise
ability?
otherwise it's the Tiger Death Claw of ripping your opponent's heart out and eating it for brunch or dinner or lunch or anything really. Tea works fine.
For some reason, it reminds me of Tony the Tiger.
That was Vincent Price, wasn't he? Or am I misremembering that? Yeah, I'm misremembering that, I believe.
Taco, did you die? Do we need to have a funeral for you?
Maybe it took 5 steps.
Oh, that's no good. Well,
or he made the mistake of going to the toilet in a Tarantino movie.
We're at the 52-minute mark. I guess we can discuss one more point while Taco is dead. And then I guess if he's not around, I'll wrap it up.
We'll do that. Okay, what was the last point? We talked about our favorite movies, about good movies in general, and about guilty pleasures. How about we talk about great directors of our time or something like that,
Yeah, sure, I guess. I mean, I'm not a huge... I'm not good on industry names, let's put it that way. But there are some that I like. I mean, Joss Whedon's a pretty good director. Everybody knows him.
He is.
Well, I mean, it's actually kind of cool. Story about him is like he's directed a lot of stuff over the years, but it wasn't until Avengers that he made some huge blockbuster. It's weird that he had such a huge fan base yet had never done that,
Maybe because, his fan base, we must admit, consists mainly of nerds, and nerds just became a main focus group recently.
That's true, yeah.
But when you were, the great directors, I was thinking about, Spielberg or Kubrick, or, I don't know, the guy who made Black Swan, I can't remember his name.
I like Ridley Scott, he's a pretty good director.
Yes, he is.
What's his name?
The Alien movies are great.
God damn it. The guy who made Titanic and Terminator and...
James Cameron.
Yeah, all right, James Cameron is like totally hit or miss for me. He's made some great movies and he's made some shit too.
He made some truly great box office hits.
I mean, Terminator 2, I'm pretty sure he directed Terminator 2. That's one of my favorite action movies of all time for sure.
Yeah, he did Terminator 2, he did Aliens with the
yeah,
second
that's right.
movie.
Both of those are good movies.
He basically invented... They're great movies, and they invented some action movie cliches that we are now completely sick of.
Well, he definitely mastered the chase scene. Let's put it that way.
Yes, he definitely did that. Also, you could think Robert Zemeckis would be a good name to drop with, Forrest Gump and
Oh, yeah.
recently Flight.
Forrest Gump is a really good movie. Tom Hanks is pretty hit or miss for me, too, but that's definitely one of his better ones.
But Tom Hanks always urinates in the movies he's in. I mean, it's like there's an obsession with watching Tom Hanks piss on the big screen.
I never thought about that before. Is that really a thing?
Think about the Green Mile.
Oh, that's true. He had a urinary tract infection in that movie.
It was even a great big plot point that Tom Hanks could finally urinate again without being in pain.
Actually, that Green Mile reminds me, one of my favorite movies is also Shawshank Redemption. I love that movie.
That's just it's just such a good movie. I've loved that movie ever since I first watched it. It's just everything seems to be perfect.
Morgan Freeman is so cool in that movie. Oh my god.
I want Morgan Freeman to narrate my life. It doesn't matter what I do. If Morgan Freeman narrates it, everything will make sense.
I think that was probably my favorite Morgan Freeman role he's ever had.
That and being God.
Well, yeah. Which actually, that was definitely not one of Jim Carrey's better movies, I don't think.
No, but it was nice to see Morgan Freeman being God because it kind of made sense. Because whenever Morgan Freeman tells you something, it makes sense.
It's true. Actually, come to think of it, a lot of people, for some reason, I don't know why this is, but a lot of people seem to think that Ace Ventura is Jim Carrey's best movie, but I really think it's The Mask.
I'm with you on The Mask, on his best comedy, but I think his best movie is actually The Truman Show.
Yeah, that was a really good movie. Truman Show. There was another semi-serious movie he was in that was pretty good too. Can't remember the name of it.
I can't help you.
The Truman Show was just, it was one of those like scenarios that everybody's thought of before. That was just so easy to, I guess, like follow along with, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, and everyone could, imagine what if my life is actually, just a series? What if you are an actor who's just, paid to cater to my entertainment needs or something?
Yeah, I like the not so sudden or subtle ways they hint at the fact early on in the movie, like how a fucking light just like falls out of the sky, basically.
Or the elevator scene with the elevator suddenly being gone and there being crew members behind the door.
Yeah, there's that too.
And the very subtle product placement, if you know I don't know, I think it was for hot chocolate or something, with it being presented as the end all.
That was pretty
It was
funny.
Very good movies, but very fun. But back to great movies, something we haven't mentioned yet: Peter Jackson and the Lord of the Rings movies. I mean, we are in a nerd forum, so maybe we could mention these.
I mean, I don't know why so many people got pissed off about The Hobbit. I don't know why everybody expected it to be the next Lord of the Rings, but I thought it was a really good movie by itself. I thought it was really fun.
It was great. I mean, I was at the cinema for the world premiere. They told us December 12th at 12 o'clock and 12 minutes even in 2012. So everything was, aligned perfectly, and I really had fun watching the movie. It wasn't too long. It was well paced. It was well put together. The effects were nice. I liked that the orcs looked different from the Lord of the Rings orcs because it's different books and it's different race of orcs. It isn't supposed to be a Lord of the Rings orc.
Yeah.
And since it's a children's book, the fact that the orcs are less, violent and oppressive even makes sense because the book was for a different audience.
I wouldn't say they were less violent or anything like that. It's just that you didn't get to see the extent of their violence because they weren't in like a full-on war situation.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Except for, the orcs in Moria getting, pawned by the dwarves.
I thought weren't those goblins?
I think those were orcs with, the big orc guy getting his arm chopped off, and that's why he's after the other guys, after the dwarf now.
Oh, wait, okay. So in The Hobbit, in the mountain, they fight goblins, I think, but when they leave the mountain, they fight orcs. Like right before they get picked up by the eagles or whatever they are. Or the rocks.
Exactly,
Yeah, the the Goblin King was freaking hilarious, but yeah, it was a different type of movie. I don't know why so many people expected it to be Lord of the Rings because it never was supposed to be. It's completely a different story. My main concern is how they're going to spread it across 3 movies because they're already like halfway through the book. I mean, like the Gollum scene didn't even last as long as I thought it was going to, and that's like the big point of the entire book, and they took care of that in the first movie out of 3. So
I believe the next movie will just be them fighting the dragon, and it could be epic because, it's in the book, I think it's the dragon attacks the city, and the city has to defend itself, and they can make a huge battle against the dragon with Bilbo going in and, saving the day. And the third movie will be the War of the Five Nations because suddenly the dragon's dead, and everyone believes that these dwarf mountains should now be theirs. The elves, or elves it is, suddenly arrive and say, yep, we totally want some of that, even though we didn't help you. And other dwarves arrive and say, yep, we totally want some of that, even though we didn't help you. And in the end, there could be this massive battle of, Lord of the Rings scale even.
The best thing about that is that they skip the entire battle in the book.
Yeah, they skipped the battle in the book, but I don't think anyone would really object to, getting to watch that battle.
Oh yeah, I never said that at all. It's just kind of funny to think about how like the bulk of the third movie might be something that didn't even actually happen or wasn't detailed in the book at all.
It's a reverse Tom Bombadil, really. Eh?
Yeah, I guess it is. It's just some things, when you're trying to adapt something from one medium to the other, some things just don't quite fit as well as others.
Exactly. And I gotta say, the best movie experience I had last year was watching all 3 Lord of the Rings movies in a marathon in the cinema.
Oh, jeez.
It's just, when you see them on the big scale, it's exhausting, but it's just so great.
My best movie experience of last year was probably Avengers.
The Avengers are very fun, and I've seen them twice in 3D, both of these times even, and I really loved everything.
Oh, there goes Taco.
Yep, probably gonna take, being buried or something.
Well, we should probably wrap things up, and then he'll probably come back later and be like, "What happened? Oh man, I'm a loser."
I've got a taco for a head, and it's delicious.
So, any closing comments at all?
I'd say that there are too many great movies to discuss them all at once, and maybe we should, try to focus on for the next time. Make a good director cast or something, even, because there's just too many good movies to discuss them all.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, we only had the opinion of 2.5 people for this one, so...
Maybe get Martyr next time.
Oh yeah, he'll just talk about Scorpion King 3 the whole time.
If he does that, maybe we can, shout him down.
It's a possibility, but I don't know.
Or go la 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 la.
He'd just ban us if he got too mad about it. Be like, you guys don't like SK3, ban.
Is he really that serious about the movie?
No. It's just a guilty pleasure for him, basically. We should probably stop gossiping about it because he'll get mad and he'll probably kill us.
I never said the movie was terrible.
Alright, well, it was fun, and I'll take over hosting duties for the closing statement. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to us discuss movies, and I hope you all send dead chicken corpses to Taco in the mail for his terrible, terrible hosting. And I just realized it was very redundant saying dead chicken corpses, considering, you can't be a corpse unless you're already dead. But anyway.
Maybe send undead chicken corpses.
Maybe. Alright, well, I hope you guys had fun listening to us. This was Fappy. We had Calvin Butcher and Taco, who is dead. And we'll see you next time.